and welcome to my channel. My name's Neha and today I'll be reviewing and reacting to Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. If you like this video, remember to like and subscribe. Just a quick heads up, this video does contain spoilers, so if you haven't read the book before, you can stick around just for the review part before we get into all of the spoilers. So without further ado, let's get started. So, this book is about a girl named Amari Peters who is 12 years old. And she's never known the reason for her brother's disappearance, and she is sick and tired of people assuming that he was part of something illegal. Then she finds out he was involved with an organization called the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs, and he's nominated her as a part of its group of newest members. So in hopes of finding out what happened to her brother, Amari accepts this invitation. So at the Bureau, she meets her roommate, Elsie Rodriguez, who happens to be a were-dragon, but hasn't had her first shift yet. She also meets Dylan Van Helsing, who is the younger brother of Maria Van Helsing, who was Quentin's partner, and Maria has also gone missing. Dylan's twin sister, Laura, on the other hand, seems to blame Amari for her sister's disappearance, but Dylan quickly forms a bond with Amari. So together, Amari, Dylan, and Elsie continue to investigate all the happenings at the Bureau and are trying to find out what happened to Quentin and Maria. So, Amari and the Night Brothers is B.B. Alston's debut novel. It's a middle grade book and I really enjoyed reading it. So most books, they take a while to, build up their suspense or get to the action, but not this book. It was fast-paced and interesting right off the bat. There's never ever a dull moment while reading it. So it also has a great fantasy element sprinkled in with sci-fi, but I think the main element of this book was the mystery. There's really intense mystery. It keeps you reading. I just really wanted to know what happened next, and it was really engaging. Another thing this book includes is it's really witty. It's got its whimsical moments, so if you enjoyed, the Nevermore series, it's got that kind of wit and comedy in it. So, and the characters are also super relatable. At least for me, I can sympathize with them at all points in the book, and I just wanted to step in and help them out. So if you like books like the Nevermore series or Harry Potter, then Amari and the Night Brothers is a great fit for you. I overall really enjoyed this book. I'd give it a solid 10 out of 10. Just a quick notice, from this part in the video onwards, there will be spoilers. So if you haven't read the book yet, you can pause this video and go check it out. So let's take a second to talk about the characters in this book. So first we have Amari, who's a really strong and inspirational lead. So you can really see her growth throughout this book. So at the beginning, she's really confused because she's just been thrust into the supernatural world with no idea what's going on. And so basically in the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs, in order to join, they have to make you supernatural. So there's this crystal ball that you have to touch, and that sort of enhances one of your abilities and turns it into a supernatural ability. So that crystal ball sort of reveals that Amari is a magician, and the worst villain of all time was also a magician. So that sort of turns a lot of people against her, and she's really disheartened about that. So as the book progresses, she sort of you can see her coming out of her shell and revealing her really fiery and determined personality. And she's also got a really interesting backstory. So her brother's disappeared, and for 6 months she's been obsessed with trying to find him, and then suddenly she finds out that he was involved with all these crazy supernatural things, and this is her only chance to find out what happened to him. So like of course she's gonna take this opportunity. And you really want to see where this leads. Next we have Elsie, who's a were-dragon. And a were-dragon is basically a human that can shift into a dragon form. And Elsie is the last of her kind. I kind of found it funny how she's like a were-dragon, but she's stuck in human form. You can tell from the beginning that she's really intellectual and in her head a lot, but she's really a good friend to Amari. She doesn't really seem to care that Amari's a magician after it's like revealed in front of the whole bureau. And throughout the book, she was sort of like, Amari's sidekick. Like, while Amari and Dylan were involved with, like, all the action, she was mostly, like, whenever that happened, she mostly was, like, backed off, was on the side, and she was mostly helping gather data and stuff like that. You can also see her growth throughout the book. She went from being like scared of everything to like standing her ground against the bureau while Amari and Dylan were escaping to find the key holders. So now we have Dylan Van Helsing. His descendants formed the bureau, so he's pretty much like totally accustomed to this supernatural world thing. So at the beginning, he kind of gave me like this Draco Malfoy vibe, and I was like, okay, he's gonna be like the antagonist of the book, sort of. Not exactly the antagonist, but sort of the person who's like sort of provoking Amari and like, dejecting her throughout the book. But it turned out like that's not him. He sort of like opened up through throughout the book, and he turns out he's like, really caring and kind. Rereading the book like a second time, I also noticed that there's like this whole aura of mystery that surrounds him. So like there are always these like little things that he's doing, like why is he so scared before touching the crystal ball? And like there are always these little things that surround him throughout the book, and they make you wonder like why is he acting like that? And you slowly get the answers for those throughout the book. Like for example, there's Magician Girl 18. So like this person was messaging Amari on social media, and she somehow knows. She calls herself Magician Girl 18, and she somehow knows everything that's happening to Amari. And she's saying like, trust me, I can help you, And then it turns out Magician Girl 18 is Dylan. And when I was rereading the book a second time, I noticed that whenever they mentioned Magician Girl 18, they always referred somehow to Dylan. They referred to him either immediately before or after they were talking about Magician Girl 18. So it turns out Dylan is a magician too, and he's fooled the crystal ball, and there have been magicians in his family for like the past 700 years, and they've all been fooling the crystal ball and getting into the bureau. But turns out like the rest of his family like totally doesn't know about those magicians, especially his twin sister Laura, who seems to like blame Amari for her sister's disappearance. So throughout the book, Laura is that, Draco Malfoy sort of character that I was talking about before. She sort of really hates Amari, and she's the one trying to get her down and trying to get her to like leave the bureau. But Dylan, on the other hand, he's like totally the opposite. So usually there's like a bond that's emphasized between two characters. In this book, I thought it would be like Amari and Elsie. Although like they did sort of show that the two have a strong bond, they didn't emphasize too much on it. But it was mostly like Amari and Dylan, because Dylan opened up a lot to Amari, and then Amari opened up to Dylan a lot. And then they developed like a really strong friendship. But then at the end of the book, he goes like, no, everything I told you was pretty much a lie. I'm evil. I'm working for Maru, that evil magician, and I'm gonna take over the world. So at the end of the book, he betrays Amari, and then turns out he betrays the magician he's working for too as well. So like when he betrayed that magician, I was kind of like, yes, he's coming back to the good side, but he didn't. He was trying, like, Then he tried to suck out Amari's powers as well and kill her in the process. But then there's that whole action sequence, and Amari, prevails, and she comes out on top. Um, I got really attached to this character while reading the book, and I was just like really, really sad when he turned evil, and I was sad to see him leave. So, I really hope in the future, he gets some sort of redemption. So as I said before, there are a lot of subtle details throughout the book, leading to him being the villain. And when he did reveal that he was evil, I was totally caught off guard. I did not see that coming at all. It was also really sad and disheartening to see my favorite character betray everyone else. But I really do hope he gets some sort of redemption in the future. So at the end of the book, Amari's mom finds out about the whole supernatural world and how Quentin and Amari are involved in it. I kind of wish that didn't happen because there could be this whole secrecy element that's carried on for the whole series. Um, but another problem that might be introduced in the next book due to Amari's mom finding out about the whole supernatural world is maybe Amari's mom might not want her to go back to the bureau or be involved in these kinds of things anymore. So that might be a problem that could present itself in the next book. So I do know the plot for the next book. It's Amari's competing with someone for leadership of the League of Magicians. So if you remember, at the end of the book, Maria gave Amari this card called the League of Magicians. It's basically a group of all the magicians in the world. So in the next book, she's competing with someone for the leadership of that society, and that person might be Dylan. That's a possibility because they are the two born magicians of the age, and it's been said many times in the book before, both of them have the power to shape the new era. So it's a possibility that Dylan may be returning. I really hope that happens. So I'm really excited for the next book to be released, and I'll be waiting when it comes out. So thanks for watching, guys. If you want more reactions, reviews, and recommendations, remember to like this video and hit the subscribe button, which is in this general area. I also have a blog in which I post book recommendations every Monday. So if you would like to check that out, the link is below in the description. See you next time. I hope you enjoyed this video.